Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. It is Sincerely Valley, and in this video we're going to be looking at part 2 of my Ancestry DNA results. In this video I'm going to show you guys my DNA from 23andMe, and I'm going to be comparing it to my Ancestry DNA. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you all that gave me feedback on that first video, and if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you go check it out. I got lots of good feedback, which really helped to open up my perspective of my African ancestry and just of DNA, you know, in general. So I really appreciate all of your comments. With Ancestry DNA, I did not feel like I got everything I wanted from my DNA results, right? I was still left with questions. I didn't know what nation most of my DNA stemmed from. I was a little bit confused about a lot of things that were presented. So I feel like with 23andMe, I got the answers I needed to put the full story together. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're gonna look at is the composition of my African ancestry. So as you can see with 23andMe, they put me at 78.5% African, okay? So this is a little bit smaller percentage than what Ancestry DNA put me at, which did surprise me a little bit. I don't know, for some reason I had this expectation that it would be higher for 23andMe, but they actually put me at a lower percentage for my African ancestry. They put me at 62.2% West African, and I got my one nation that I was wanting to know where most of my DNA stemmed from. So there we go, guys. Your girl is 30.6% Nigerian. So I finally got that one nation, because if you remember, I was tied between Nigeria and I think it was like Cameroon, Congo, Western Bantu people. That's how they classified it at Ancestry. They were at the same percentage, but now I see your girl is mostly Nigerian. So for everybody that was in the chat that said I looked Nigerian, you guys were absolutely correct. All right, and one thing I found interesting as well is that they connected me to a tribe as well. And they connected me to the Igbo people, which was quite interesting. And I start doing a little bit of research on them. And from what I know, they're very well known in Nigeria. And also a lot of them are very entrepreneurial. And yeah, they have like quite a reputation in Nigeria. So I thought that was very interesting. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into the Igbo people, the tribe, the customs, the culture. So that's something I would definitely be looking into. And also a lot of people mentioned, they were saying I look like I could be from northern Nigeria. I had a couple of people say the Fulani, the Hassa, I think I'm saying that right, the Hassa. Because I do want to take African ancestry DNA tests in the future to kind of see what tribe are they going to connect me with. So I think with 23andMe, it kind of gave me like a little bit of a lead as to what could likely be my tribe. So my next highest percentage for West African is Ghana. So they classified it as Ghana, Liberian, and Sierra Leonean. So I found that super interesting. And when I saw Sierra Leone, I got super excited because I did some research on people that were able to get dual citizenship. So those who had ancestry from Sierra Leone, they could get dual citizenship solely based off of just their connection to that region. Okay, so I'm sure there's more to the process of proving that, you know, you have Sierra Leonean ancestry. And yeah, so I thought it would be so awesome if I could eventually go down that route, learn more about it, and get dual citizenship. All right, so next we have Senegambian and Ghanaian at 4.7%, which covers these specific countries, okay? And I think I was at like a 1% when it came to like Senegal with my Ancestry DNA results, so it did bump me up a couple of percentages. Let's see, next we have what is classified as broadly West African. So this is like, you know, your Mali, your Niger, let's see, in other regions in that area, Benin. So it's like very broad across West Africa when they can't specifically connect you to one place. They just kind of generally classify you in that area. All right, so then they broke down the second segment of my ancestry, which they classified as Congolese, and Southern East African. So when they pinpointed these nations, specifically Angola and Congo, so this is more so classified as Central African. So as we look further into that, we see that I have 16% of these two nations, okay? And with my Ancestry DNA, it was mainly, I believe what they did was classify it as Cameroon, Western Bantu people, and Congo all clumped together at about 26%. But with this one, I like how they kind of broke it down and was very specific on the actual region, so Angola and Congo. All right, and then they have me at 0.3% East African. So this is like Southern East African, so mainly Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, so areas like that. So that was very interesting as well that even came out. When I saw this, I mainly thought about migration patterns and how, you know, people migrate. You know, just people in movement in general will have your DNA mixing a whole lot more. All right, so that wraps up my 78.5% of my African ancestry. And moving along, we're going to look at my next ancestry composition, which is European. So according to 23andMe, I am 20.2% European, which is a couple of points higher than my European 4 in Ancestry DNA, okay? So let's break down what regions my ancestry comes from in Europe, okay? So at the very top at 17.6%, we have British and Irish, okay? So your girl is British. With this DNA, they clumped Britain and Ireland together and came up with one big percentage for that. And then they pinpointed these two areas, England and Lancashire and West Yorkshire. And I did look up, I did end up Googling those areas, and it literally looks like something out of a postcard. Like, so that's the Northwestern European. And next we have Southern European. So this was something new because Southern European countries did not pop up on my other DNA test. So with this one, it put me at 1.4% Spanish and Portuguese, and 0.4% Italian, and 0.8% broad European, okay? So that was interesting because I never would have guessed that I had any of this in my DNA, okay? Very small percentages, but it was interesting that it popped up. Let's see, last composition, which is Indigenous America. So they put me at 0.8% of Indigenous America, which is Native American, which is a little bit lower than what Ancestry DNA did. So what I was able to confirm was that these three specific areas are where most of my DNA comes from. So I am African, European, and Native American. So I got my confirmation from that. And one thing that really had me super surprised was when I looked at this trace ancestry, and then they had 0.4% with Indonesia, Thai, Khmer, and Myanmar. I guess Myanmar? I don't know. All right, so it was so interesting. They put me at 0.4% with trace DNA. And then when I actually clicked on it, I was able to see that I had a relative that was from that area, which was super interesting as well. So I was like, interesting. So I shared DNA with someone that had ancestry from Southeast Asia. And then I have the 0.1% unassigned. So when they're unable to assign a specific percentage of our DNA, they just leave it as unassigned. All right, and then also another surprising thing to me was that it says additional ancestry regions. It says regions that reflect ancestry or more recent migrations to your ancestry. And what came up was Caribbean, guys. So St. Elizabeth Parish, Jamaica. So I was super surprised. I'm like, what? Because I know nothing about any ancestor of mine that comes from the Caribbean islands, okay? So, because like usually when people are Caribbean or they have Caribbean roots, they know, right? So the family knows, you know, everybody knows like that Caribbean roots. But for me, I had no idea, but they're saying that I do have some relatives in Jamaica. So that was super interesting. So your girl is Jamaican. Or I just have ancestry from there. So another thing I want to point out with 23andMe, so like I said, I got my confirmation, I got the region that my DNA is mainly from, I got all this information, the confirmation of what I am. And one thing that I really liked about it was that you get to see a lot of your relatives. So like with Ancestry as well, you get to see all your DNA matches, right? And it was super interesting because I got to see like some of my European relatives, let's say relatives that had European ancestry. I was able to see like a lot of my cousins here in the United States. So that was super cool. And we were able to compare our DNA just like on Ancestry as well. One thing I also really liked about 23andMe was that they were able to give you an ancestry timeline. So with this timeline, it kind of puts exactly where that DNA, like what year it started to show up in your actual DNA story. So I found that to be very unique and a good component to this actual company. So it's a lot to take in, guys, but it's just such a beautiful picture that is painted of what makes me who I am today. With 23andMe, you do get your painting of your DNA. It shows you how each of your chromosomes has, you know, different components of those specific groups. So that's really beautiful to see. And also they give you the parental inheritance breakdown, so you see what DNA, well, you'd have to like, I think, pay for this service, but you can get like what DNA came from mom, which one came from dad. But with Ancestry, they automatically gave you that information. And one thing that I really liked as well was that you get your maternal haplogroup with 23andMe, which I thought was super amazing. So down my maternal line, my haplogroup is L, so specifically L3, which originated out into the East African area. So that was super interesting, and it just takes you through an entire journey of, you know, just the migration patterns of your specific haplogroup. So yeah, it really focuses in on the mitochondrial DNA. And then of course, they give you your Neanderthal ancestry, which I thought was really, really funny. But I had a very small percentage of Neanderthal, very, very small. And I could only really just connect that to my European DNA because I did do my research on the Neanderthals. And mostly that DNA was found in European and Asian descent. And a lot of people in Africa that stayed in Africa and did not really migrate out into the broader world, they're highly likely to have 0% of Neanderthal DNA. So guys, that is my DNA story. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any feedback or any more information that you would like to share regarding DNA, regarding, you know, haplogroups, anything at all, or if you have any questions about if you should go with Ancestry, 23andMe, they both have, you know, really good information to share. I would say if you really want to connect with your relatives, Ancestry DNA is the company for you. But if you're looking more into like your DNA composition, you want it broken down a little more, you want to look really deeply into that, I would definitely go with 23andMe. So both companies were amazing with presentation of their information. I got a lot from it, and yeah, I'm super excited to continue on this journey. So my hope is to in the future take Ancestry, African Ancestry, which will pinpoint the specific tribe that my family originated from. I'm excited for that and to see where this leads me. So be sure to join the journey if you're interested in seeing more of how this beautiful journey unfolds. All right, once again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.